Remember, say we love the alcohol, la 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 la. Just line them up and we will drink them all, la 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 la. But my mother always said, if you want to drink all day, you best start in the morning, son, 'cause that's the Irish way. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, and every other mother will agree. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, so order up around for you and me. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, and every mother must agree. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, so order up around for you and me, and you and me, and you and me. Let there be whiskey.
Hey everybody! Welcome to Nerds with Alcohol. I'm Chris.
I'm Russ.
And this is episode 260.
260. Back in the digital nerd basement, guys, the virtual nerd basement. Guys, it is a chilly day here in Michigan, a chilly week, but it could be worse. At least it was only in the 30s.
Yeah, we actually got, I think, above freezing today.
Yeah. Last couple of
ACD.
I tell you, hey, CD, I tell you, my brain is just a mess. My sleep schedule is all fucked. I'm up all night, I'm sleeping half the day, and like today I just woke up. I still felt like I felt like
There's a Slaughter song, or it's a Slaughter song.
Slaughter, yeah. I used to. I woke up today. My eyes still felt like they had sand in them. You know, I just was like, oh god, Stella kind of. We had some tentative plans to maybe go to the gym and work out today for the first time in a long time, and I just said, you know, no, I'm not up for it today, and I'm gonna try it maybe tomorrow. But I just was like, God, I don't know what is wrong with me right now. I mean, hopefully I'm not depressed, but I might be a little depressed. I don't know. We'll see. I'll tell you one thing. As much as I am loving the game Days Gone on the PlayStation, fantastic game. But it's a zombie apocalypse game, which means it's a heavy game, and like heavy kind of things, kind of sad in a lot of places. And I think the next game I play on my PlayStation, the next video game I do a lot of work on is going to be a lighter game, a little bit upper, a little bit. I think I was gonna replay the first chapter of Last of Us. I was going to do the Last of Us 1 and then replay that and then do Last of Us 2. But that's another heavy post-apocalyptic zombie game. And I'm like, I think I'm going to wait on that one. I've got Outer Worlds that I could play, or I might just get into some more Skyrim, do some Fallout 4, Fallout 76, something, because they're a little lighter, you know. Even Fallout 76 with its post-apocalyptic themes is not quite as heavy as some of these as these games are. So, because I've been like having dreams, I've been having like not nightmares but dreams where I'm in the game and So
yes, apocalypses can be depressing, just like Walking Dead.
Yeah,
the zombie apocalypses seem to be like the most depressing.
Dude. I that was the thing. I loved The Walking Dead. After a while, I finally had to go like, you know, I'm gonna take a break. And I think I stopped around season 6 or something like that. I'm like, I just can't. I'm gonna wait until this show's over and I'll just binge the whole thing or something. Or if you are binging it, you gotta like take a break between seasons or something.
I'll say, I don't know if that's a show I want to binge. I don't know that I would survive binging that show. It's just so depressing. I stopped after season 3 of Walking Dead because it was just
the problem is it's such a good show.
It was good, but it was repetitive. It was repetitive. It was the same thing. There's more zombies. Somebody backstabs them. Somebody on the cast dies. It was the same thing over and over and over.
Well, I'll agree to that to a certain extent. I mean, it does get interesting in different points and places when just certain things that does happen and stuff. And the book itself is also really great too.
I stopped watching right after The Governor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was tough. That was some tough moments. And then so you missed Negan.
Yeah, I did not see Negan.
Negan is definitely one of the hardest parts of that show. So I feel you. You know, but I'm going to go back to it eventually. And same thing with the Fear of the Walking Dead. And then there's another show. I think there's another show coming that's like 30 years later or something, where they've kind of rebuilt society, and then what happens and when people have to go out into the wilds where there are still the remnants of the zombies and stuff,
the walkers. Yeah, Renee's right. It's depressing because there is no hope and things never get better. Correct.
And when things do get better, something happens to where they fuck it up, or somebody fucks it up, So yeah, it's a rough show to watch, but I think I will eventually get around to it again, because it was still a very solid show.
So I have to say, your new glasses reflect your computer screens more than your old ones did. I can see your computer screen. I can see your computer screens perfectly clear in your.
Yeah, I can't have like porn running on my other screen over here now. I can't be playing a game while we're streaming. I gotta should just take them off because they're really distracting. Yeah, guys, I did finally get new glasses. My glasses finally came in. I think I talked about going to the doctor and stuff, so I got new glasses, and I'm getting used to them because they are progressive lenses. So they're like down here, it's kind of for up close, and and so I'm kind of like, it's like it's a matter of kind of figuring out how you hold your head and how you look at things when you're watching TV, or you're watching, playing a computer game or something like that. So, because that's the thing, I'm just far enough away from my computer screen where I kind of need my glasses, but then at the same time, because if I really didn't need them, I'd have to be up this close, so, I don't know, it's a little weird. So, let's see, yeah. Still figuring it out. Yeah. But I am getting used to the prescription though, so that's good at least.
That's cool. So how was your week?
It was okay. It still seems like my washer and dryer is acting up a little bit. The washer doesn't seem to be spinning as well, so it's all the time, so it's not doing the spin cycle, and so the stuff's coming out a lot more wet. And then Stella put like an entire huge load of soaking wet laundry in the dryer, and it was too heavy for the dryer, and the dryer went, no. And so she comes upstairs and she goes, I think the dryer's broken. And I went, what? And she says it like casually, like off the cuff, like, I think the dryer's broken. Maybe a little concern in your voice would be a good idea. That's a big expense, And I go downstairs and she goes, I couldn't get it to turn on. It just smelled like it was burning. And I'm like, and she goes, I took everything out. So I closed the door and I pressed the button, turned right the fuck on. She overloaded it. So, I just put a few pieces of the wet laundry in, and I started it up. I'm like, all right, and, so I had to ask the housemate, well, if you're using this, keep an eye on it, whatever. And so, but I'm probably gonna have them either serviced or eventually replaced. They're getting old. So, the joys of home ownership, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Nothing like a potentially $5,000 to $1,000 purchase, give or take. For a new washer dryer, because I'm not doing the whole I'm not doing like a $2,000 washer dryer set. That's ridiculous. I'm not, some
You're
of those
do like the front loading washer with the
with the dry, like with the digital settings and all the other. I mean, some of them are really cool. Like I had a buddy that when I was staying out in Florida, there was this one that was really cool. Like you put the laundry in, and it automatically, due to the weight, figured out how much water was needed. So you didn't have to guess, is this a large load or a medium load or whatever. Mm-hmm. It was all digital readout. It was beautiful. It was really fucking cool. But hey, Sneak Coot's here.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you to say hi, but
but it's just like, I'm just gonna go. There's a place that sells refurbished ones not far from here that I can spend a couple $100 on and get some pretty decent stuff. So, I don't know, just like I said, the joys of home ownership. Other than that, just gaming, and my birthday is coming up in another week or so. I got a meeting on the 1st at work. At 9 o'clock, we're gonna have a meeting, I guess, probably about just when exactly we're gonna start back. I mean, we were supposed to, the full-time job is supposed to start on February 1st. So I got a meeting with the big boss on that day with me and the other two artists, and so I'm just kind of getting by, rocking and rolling. Stella came back from her trip and had all these wonderful stories to tell about about Florida, and excuse me, and same old. We had Tavern Nights last night. That was cool.
Tavern Talk.
Tavern Talk. Excuse me. Tavern Talk. We have Tavern Nights on Friday.
Yeah.
You?
I'm doing all right. Doing a lot of gaming. Been streaming Skyrim. Starting to learn that a little bit. Still got to figure out some of the stuff that I'm doing. Like just got back to town after doing a couple of dungeons and stuff. So this is my first time back since I got like the beginning stuff, and so now I got to figure out who the owner of the Golden Claw is.
That's easy.
It doesn't show up on my map.
Okay, so you basically jumped ahead. You got the Golden Claw ahead of the actual guy that offers it to you.
No,
asks you to go get it.
No, I was asked to go get it.
Okay, so you give it back to him.
I don't know who that was. Okay, and it doesn't say. It just says
you have to go into your mission, into your
and I tracked it, and it doesn't show me anything. It wasn't showing me any location. That's why I'm saying I have no idea who this is that gave me the mission.
It's the merchant in the first town that you encounter, River.
Okay.
Yeah, it's his family thing or whatever. Now the thing is in one of the houses that you acquire or can acquire in some of the post, like you can in the game that you can purchase land and build your own houses.
Mm-hmm.
You can also buy houses in some of the big cities. Like some of the cities have a house you can buy, and then some of the cities have land outside of the town that you can purchase and build a home. And they're really cool. It's pretty cool.
So is it just like in the real world where you live in the big city, it costs you more than if you build out in the country?
No, not really. No.
Like an apartment in New York is more than a house in
yeah that's. But no, I mean in Whiterun, there's a small house that you can buy when you get to a certain point in the.
I was just given permission to own property, so.
Oh, okay, great. So then you get that home, and at least it's a place where you can stash things. But in some of the other places, there are trophy rooms that you can build where you can basically place things like, particularly when you buy get some of the mods and stuff, where you can place the claws. And the Golden Claw is the only one that you return to the original owner and you get like money for it and stuff. And there was a hint, there was a way where you can, like, if you break into that place at night, and then you could steal it back, so that you have all the claws lined up. When you get the opportunity, I do highly recommend when you get the extra $20, just upgrade to the anniversary edition, and you'll get a bunch of stuff. It's a really good buy because you get a bunch of stuff for that $20. You get stuff that you'd have to buy in the you get like $60 worth of content for like $20, and it's pretty great. It's pretty great. Yeah, there's a farmstead that you can earn, and then you can have the farmstead be worked, and it's a working farmstead growing food, and you can go and you can have people buy it and buy the food and shit. There's several homes that you can acquire that were made in the Creation Club that are just gorgeous. They're really fucking cool. There's one, it's a farmstead outside of Whiterun that's just really beautiful with this really cool trophy room and everything, and just really cool resources. Yeah, so I do really recommend it. And it's got some really great like additional story stuff, just mission guidelines and stuff, and more weapons and armor too. So I'm glad you're playing it. I still haven't watched your videos. I'm gonna probably maybe later tonight while I'm fucking around. I'm probably gonna do some drawing. I'll be watching it because they're only 2 hours a piece. So.
Yeah. I'm only playing for like 2 hours at a time.
Man, I got to tell you, that's got to be hard though, because I'd have a tough time walking away. I have a tough time walking away just after 2 hours. Man.
It can be, but it's also it's at that point where I'm like, okay, I need to go get some food now. So it's
right.
It's like that. So
the nice thing about Skyrim is you can save at any time.
Yes, and if you watch yesterday's video, you see me saving constantly. It's it's I went through 2 rooms, save. Went through 2 rooms, save.
It doesn't hurt, I mean, I don't do that. I usually make sure that, I mean, there's always a save. There's always an auto save at the beginning of a dungeon. And then after a while, you start to get to know, okay, maybe I should save now,
Well, I actually, I wound up going up and I used up a bunch of potions fighting this thing, but because I couldn't figure out how to fucking beat it. It was like the harpy thing for the
hag ravens.
Yeah.
Those are tough, man, because they'll just keep lobbing fireballs at you.
Yeah, that's all I was doing, and it just kept killing me, and I have to go back and then fight the witches again.
That's where your bow and arrow really comes in handy.
Yeah, except the bow and arrow versus fireball doesn't really work.
No, but
that's like bringing a gun to a tank fight.
Right, but it is a distance attack. So, did you fight your first dragon over in Whiterun?
No.
Okay.
They just made mention of a dragon in one of the watchtowers when they were going to check it out, but I'm supposed to go there and meet them.
Okay. So yeah, that's one of the that's a major part of that's one of the first big steps in the main storyline. So what that does is that unlocks the Dragonborn storyline, and then so I would recommend at least doing that. That one's actually not that hard because it's kind of, at that point you might have a few levels, and I mean, the dragon is still tough at that point, but you still got to be careful. But it's it's built for you to be successful.
I just got to figure out now what I want to spend my skill points on, because my perk points, because I haven't actually spent any of the perk points yet. So I've got 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah, you definitely got to do that now, because I mean, if you spend, at least put a perk point into one-handed fighting, put a perk point into two-handed sword, or whatever you're using at the moment. Put a perk point.
I just got a magical sword that does frost damage too.
Oh, great!
And a shield with magic resistance on it, which I'm happy about.
See, what I do too, like I'll keep those for a while, and then, but then what you want to do is you want to take them,
Disenchant.
Yeah, you take it and you disenchant them, so then you can learn that enchantment, and it increases your enchantment levels too.
Today I played around with alchemy a little bit, experimenting with figuring out, if I mix this and this, what do I get? If I mix this and this, what do I get?
Well, too, is if you eat at least one ingredient every, it will also tell you at least one thing it does.
Oh, okay.
Each ingredient.
Well, I'm not going to eat the nightshade.
Don't eat the nightshade. Well, it just poisons you for like a second or two. It doesn't catch up. But
it's just a little poison. Just
what's gross is like a giant's toe. You got to eat that. I mean, or don't ever eat the Daedric hearts, because if you come across a Daedric heart, that's a major crafting component in making Daedric armor and weapons, and they're hard to find without killing them. So and eventually you get to a point where you're fighting and killing them, but yeah, you want to hang on to those when you can. Anytime you need some advice, man, I'm here for you. I am your Skyrim guidebook.
You're my guru.
Yeah. So
all right. But yeah, other than that, doing curling and stuff like that. So
right on. Yeah.
So
what are you drinking?
I am drinking, as I said I was going to, Wizard Burial Ground from 2019.
All right.
It is right here. I actually like the artwork on it. I think it's kind of cool.
It's cool. Yeah.
This is the 2019 release, which means it was actually brewed in 2018 and then released in 2019. A little cancer never hurt anybody. It was packaged 12/5/19. And this is a bourbon barrel aged quadruple ale.
Okay.
It is 10% ABV. It is brewed once a year. This special quadruple is aged in freshly drained bourbon barrels and disappears into the shadows for a full year of cellaring. This year's brew becomes next year's release. The alcohol content of this quad pulls the bourbon, vanilla, and charred oak character out of the barrel and melds it all together with the caramel richness already present. We've been wood aging beers and experimenting with wild fermentation since we opened in 2010. Join us at our annual Wood Age Beer Festival each autumn to find out more. Suggested pairing: this is a beer to be shared, to truly indulge, enjoy with blue cheese, stuffed dates wrapped in bacon with a balsamic glaze.
Okay.
Oh, blue cheese stuffed dates wrapped in bacon with a balsamic glaze. That's what it is.
Right.
Which I'm like, okay. I don't know that I've ever actually had an actual date. But all right, that sounds interesting. 1% of the sale of sales benefit local charities.
That's good.
But yeah, this is a brewery out of Grand Rapids. They actually, two of the guys that started New Holland started Brewery Vivant, I believe. They left New Holland and went over there. But it is it's a very coppery colored beer. It has a little bit of a head, retains it pretty well. The aroma is very very sweet. I get like raisiny notes on the nose. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take another sip here. It tastes almost exactly like it smells right now. It is very rich.
Okay.
And quite tasty. You get a little bit, there's almost a little, it starts off really sweet and kind of raisiny, and then right after we're at the end, it kind of smooths out and becomes almost like an almost caramely type of flavor. But I like it. It's really good. I had this actually when I first got it in 2020. I had it. And I meant to have one beer every year from the 4-pack that I bought.
Mm-hmm.
And I had one when I first got it, and then I was going to have one every year, and I think I missed last year. I know I had this on the show a couple of years ago. So, but yeah, it's I don't know if you can find that CD. Definitely not the 2019 release, but the 2021 release should be coming out very shortly. I think it comes out end of January, early February, somewhere in there. So I know you can get it here in Michigan. I don't know how far beyond the Brewery Vivant actually distributes. So. But yeah, I really like it.
Cool.
Definitely 2 thumbs up. I'll give it 4.5 bottle caps for sure. So what about you? What are you drinking?
Well, I am trying another new one by Blake's today. Now, I've never been a big grapefruit fan, and the guy that at the store is from their Bar Cart series. The guy at the store was like, it makes a great mixer. This one, he goes, and I said, I'm not a big grapefruit guy. He goes, same, but it makes for a great mixer, and it's pretty good. This is their 6.5 ABV Paloma from Blake's, and Blake's is really kind of like, man, they're really doing it up with the variations and stuff. Like over the last couple of years, they've really expanded their product line. Paloma is a grapefruit, agave, and lime hard cider. Right here. Mm-hmm. I gotta say, it's not bad. I think people that really like grapefruit and like that tart kind of citrus are gonna really be into this. And I think it would make for a good mixer. Make for a good like mixed drink kind of thing. I don't know. I'll probably finish it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something that's going to grow on me a little bit. But I'm like I said, I'm not a big grapefruit guy, so I don't know if I would order this. It says Paloma, no tequila, no problema. Sip as a cider, a splash like a mixer. It's the fizzy grapefruit and lime favorite with a sweet agave hard cider twist. Paloma Elegance cider style. Mix it up with mezcal, lime, jalapeno, and ice. Sip straight from the can or your favorite glassware. Salt the rim, add 1 ounce tequila, and pour over ice. It's from the Bar Cart series. Be your own bartender. Shake up your cocktail hour at home, flaunting a mixable, drinkable collection of curious profiles. Blake's Bar Cart series has arrived. Get creative, keep it classic, or just pop the tab and pour. I think this would probably
mix
better.
Alcohol with alcohol.
Yeah. Make a real drink. I think that's the thing. It's 6.5. It's not just some, empty mixer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's there's a lot
so yeah,
to this.
Throw a shot of tequila in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll really pop it. Salt the rim, blah, blah, blah. I think it'd make for a good mixer. You just got to be careful because, yeah, you're mixing alcohol with more alcohol. Yeah, I think it'd be, once again, better as a mixer as opposed to, for me anyway. Mm-hmm. But it isn't terrible. It's not like I'm like, it's awful. It's just not my particular, not my tea, not my taste.
Not your cup of cider.
Not my cup of cider. So, but I'll finish it. I'll drink it. Just like last week's, the chocolate cherry. I just didn't really get the chocolate. I didn't understand it. Chocolate and cider, it just doesn't really work, I guess, for me. And it was just more like a sweet cherry cider. And I gotta admit, cherry ciders are not my favorite. I mean, they're okay, but they're not, not my favorite. So check it out. Bar Cart series from Blake's Hard Cider, Paloma. And yours again was
Wizard's Burial Ground. So
not terrible.
I have port and a passion fruit Recordalig. My favorite cider. Okay.
Port and a passion fruit Recordalig. Yeah, I think I've had the Recordalig, passion fruit Recordalig. I think I've had that. Can't remember.
I don't think I have. Well, we have a shitload of stuff to talk about tonight.
Shitload. Lots of stuff. Holy smokes.
So, like, first thing I saw today, I get an email from D&D Beyond that they've announced the new D&D book.
Really?
Yes. Mordenkainen presents Monsters of the Multiverse.
Okay, we did hear rumors about this one.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it is now available for pre-order. Comes out May 17th. Says that it will have, how many? It was like 30 playable races in it.
Mordenkainen presents Monsters. Cat came right up.
Yep. But yeah, it's supposed to have like a ton of new content, a bunch of monsters from around the planes and beyond. It's got a picture of Mordenkainen riding a Corinne in front of a astral juggernaut.
Wow, that's very reminiscent of, I think, one of the books from second edition, if I remember correctly. Gee, I wonder what. That's got to be cool. That's probably going to have like Kender and Minotaurs from Krynn.
Well, maybe, but I think they're going to have them. Oh, hey, we got a host.
Oh, somebody hosting us?
Yeah, Sneakoot is.
Oh, that's
cool.
great.
Thanks, Sneakoot.
Thanks, Sneakoot.
But yeah, that I think they're going to come out with the Krynn book, so I don't know that they're going to be in here.
Well, I mean, it would be a good place to start, I guess, because I mean, they did talk about Joe Manganiello did talk about that he had seen the stats for Draconians. Mm-hmm. He had seen 5th edition stats for Draconians.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll be things like that. But we'll see. May 17th. I know I will be getting it.
Oh, for sure. I'll probably get that. That's one of those ones too. Like, I don't tend to get the adventure books because I'm not dungeon mastering anything. But I do tend to get the resource books because I really do like the resource.
Well, and like I said, this is supposed to have like 30 playable races in it. It said in one of the articles.
Goblins have during a brief press release, a briefing last week. There are lots of attention being paid to how player character race being presented in the book. Not only have designers have made accommodations to remove the concept of racial essentialism from PC races, they've also focused their attention on beefing up the lore as well. One case in point is the lowly goblin. Goblins have been included several times as a PC race in 5th edition D&D, including in Magic the Gathering crossovers, Plane Shift Ixalan and Plane Shift Zendikar, and Adventure with Muck. Pay what you want supplement sold online to benefit Extra Life. Monsters of the Multiverse will consolidate these versions of playable goblins alongside the monstrous versions of goblins and related goblinoid creatures. Crawford said that it will do so in a way that is setting agnostic, i.e. applicable to races other than the Forgotten Realms, but it will also tease apart bits of lore that go all the way back to the earliest days of D&D. So they're going to be dealing with goblins. That's kind of cool. They will explain the goblinoids. Okay, explaining their origins. Wizards and author in that edition. If that edition of D&D's 5th edition canon feels similar, that's because Wizards and author R.A. Salvatore took a similar tack with the Drow just last year. The novel Starlight Enclave reimagines Drizzt Do'Urden's ancestors as just one of several branches of the Drow family tree. The creation of the Ivandro and the Loren Drow effectively retcons D&D's official lore to allow for dark elves with far more varied and peaceable backgrounds.
Yeah, to me, the Drow are the Drow. There are some that are more peaceful than others. I don't need specific sub-races.
Oh, here's a full list. They did give you a full list. Okay, here. So I'll read them off real quick. Here's a full list of all the PC races included in the book. The I always have a tough time saying this. Aarakocra, the Aasimar, the Bugbear, the Centaur, the Changeling, the Deep Gnome, the Durgar, the Eladrin, the Fairy, the Fairbulg, the Genasi, air, earth, fire, and water.
But most of these are ones that have been in other books so far.
Or at the very least, they've been in online supplements and stuff too. Mm-hmm. The Githyanki, the Githzerai, Goblins, Goliaths, the Harangon, I don't know what that is, a Hobgoblin, a Kenku, the Kobold, Lizard Folk, the Minotaur, Orc, Satyr, Sea Elf, Shadarkai, Shifter, Tabaxi, Tortle, Triton, and Wanti. So sounds like it's consolidating them all together. The Mordecaians Presents Monsters of the Multiverse will premiere as part of a 3-volume physical product called D&D Rules Expansion Gift Set. It costs $169.99 and will be available starting January 25th. The standalone book is available for pre-order and will arrive on May 17th, both physically and for digital platforms like Fantasy Grounds, Roll20, and D&D Beyond.
Oh, so speaking of books, though, that was something else. I mean, I am interested in that book, but one of the things that I know we've talked about, and one of the things I would like to do is, I'm going to say, we've been talking about putting this out there, I just keep forgetting to do it, but if we can hit, I mean, we had a long way to go. We only have like 4 subscribers now, but if we can hit 50 subscribers, the day we hit 50, I'm going to give away a signed player's handbook. Not that that's going to, make people run out and join us, but I'll get everybody
signed by us,
by us and the cast of Tavern Knights.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We'll get everybody to sign it, and we'll send it out to one of the 50 subscribers at the time. Randomly pick one, and we'll do it that way.
Very, very cool. I think that's a great idea. So thank you to our subscribers. We're not rich men.
Get it now before they become famous. That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Iggy.
That'd be great. Speaking of D&D books, we talked about it a little bit on Tavern Talk the other night, but today was the release of the new Tal'dorei Reborn Critical Role resource book from Darrington Press. Now, this is a reprinting, but an expansion of the original Tal'dorei source book that Darrington Press put out before they had become like official Dungeons and Dragons, before Wizards of the Coast had taken in Matt Mercer's Critical Role world as an official D&D setting. So it seems to me that's probably why Darrington Press printed this, because it is essentially a reprint of the previous book. Now, the thing is I was reading an article here saying, is it worth the purchase? Saying absolutely. It's got a crap ton of new material in it. It's got a lot of new art. It's got full stat blocks for the entire Vox Machina team. And it sounds like some of the supporting cast. It's got also information on what the characters have done 20 years later. So you get an insight as to what happened to Grog, what happened to Keyleth and Percy and Vex and it just and Scanlan and all of them, and and apparently then also stat blocks for them. I believe stat blocks for them at that 20 year later mark. It sounds like it's quite a few more pages too. It's around 300 pages. I'd have to look at the original book, but I don't think that one was 300 pages. I'm pretty sure it was about half that. So they're saying well worth the purchase. It was released today. It's available through the Critical Role store, and apparently, I believe at game shops and bookstores, particularly game shops. I'm going to have Stella.
But I believe not through Amazon, right? Is that what you said?
It's not available through Amazon yet. It has a listing in Amazon, but like for Amazon, it was like, that's not the right website. I believe the listing on Amazon though listed like a $15 shipping charge or something like that, and you still wouldn't get it until like July.
See, I'm seeing there's one now. It's Critical Role: The Chronicles of Exandria. I'm not seeing Tal'dorei Reborn on here.
I had it. I've got it tagged in my Tal'dorei campaign setting Reborn.
Because I just did Tal'dorei Reborn campaign guide, and
the original the original one is apparently out of print now.
Yeah,
you can't get it. So
I'm glad I got it when I did.
Yeah, me too. Hardcover $299.50. So for that, let me see if I'll pull it up on my wish list here and see if I can. See, scrolling down. Here it is. D&D RPG Tal'dorei Reborn 5e campaign. It says we don't know when or if this item will be back in stock. So it does have a listing, but it seems to me that Darrington Press is like, we're not giving this to Amazon yet. Maybe later. We're gonna get our nut off of it first.
Yeah. So all right. But yeah, I'm interested in that one. I'm not gonna run right out and get it. But
I don't think it's gonna sell out like the first. I think they're gonna probably do a bigger print run. And then the previous one. But I probably want to get it sooner rather than later.
But yeah, so beyond that, there's another big announcement that I saw today was that Microsoft is buying Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
In what is the biggest takeover in history.
Yeah, this isn't like when Disney bought Marvel. That's more of a like, oh, okay, you guys want to buy us? Okay. I think this is a little more like, hey, we're taking. You think it's a hostile takeover?
I don't think it's not really hostile because they actually made a deal. They're doing a deal where they're actually paying for the stock at a price that is slightly above what it was before the lawsuit hit.
Okay. I don't think Disney paid this much for Marvel.
No, they're saying this is the largest one in history. $68.7 billion.
Yeah. Yeah. Almost 70. That's a 7 with 10 zeros after it, ladies and gentlemen. Holy shit. It's
Microsoft,
massive.
Yeah.
That's a massive fucking number.
Yeah, now they are saying this is going to take probably 12 to 18 months to actually finish going through because it's going to get a lot of scrutiny because of the fact that it's one of those things where it's Microsoft buying up another huge property after already buying a property in Bethesda.
So ZeniMax, buying ZeniMax was really huge for them.
So they're really going to have to. They're saying that there could be a lot of scrutiny because both the Republicans and the Democrats are really wanting to keep a lot of diversity in the entertainment market.
Well, that's. I mean, it's part of capitalism. Is we're supposed to have competition within the marketplace, and if things like this is why is what's it called? Not
it's the anti-monopoly laws,
right? So we're creating a monopoly, and it's just there's a lot. It says hours after. Here's another article here that says hours after Microsoft says it's buying Activision, the U.S. government says it's overhauling merger guidelines. The FTC couldn't comment on the proposed Activision Blizzard merger specifically, but man, talk about timing. On the heels of Microsoft's Activision purchase, the U.S. government's Department of Justice and Federal Trade Commission launched a joint review of antitrust merger guidelines. The DOJ and FTC monitor and may investigate mergers and acquisitions, which, to put it very simply, could break antitrust laws, usually through anti-competitive or monopolistic arrangements. In a joint live stream earlier today, FTC Chair Lina Khan explained that the FTC and DOJ today are jointly launching a review of the merger guidelines to improve the ability of antitrust agencies to assess unlawful mergers and enforce regulations. Recent evidence indicates that many industries across the economy are becoming more concentrated and less competitive, imperiling choice and economic gains for consumers, workers, entrepreneurs, and small businesses, the FTC said on Twitter. These problems are likely to persist or worsen due to an ongoing merger surge that has more than doubled merger filings from 20 to 21. CEO Bobby Kotick, Activision CEO, briefly touched on this sort of red tape in an interview with VentureBeat, affirming that Microsoft will drive the bus, obviously, on the antitrust issues, which when asked about the implications of the deal.
Yeah, and the thing is one of the big things is whether or not he's going to stick around afterwards, because people want him gone.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he's basically creating himself this giant golden parachute to get the fuck out. And when asked if he was going to stick around, he said, "I'll be available for anything that they need to make this as smooth a transition as possible."
Right. Now, Blizzard recently came under fire for toxic work environment accusations and stuff.
Oh, cool.
I'm kind of curious.
DQ said that he is confirmed gone when the deal's done.
Oh, really? Okay. My question was some of those accusations one of the things that led to the fact that they've said, you know what, let's just sell.
I think it is. I think that's what made Microsoft go, hey, there's somebody in trouble. I bet we can get them and increase our portfolio. Because now if you look at it, this means that they can now say Diablo is Xbox only. They can say Call of Duty. That's the one that they really wanted. The Call of Duty, they can make an Xbox exclusive, Xbox and PC exclusive if they want to.
Yeah. Well, they've already said that going forward, it's more than likely that the next Bethesda games will be Xbox and PC exclusive.
Well, but when asked about the Call of Duty ones, they specifically said, we want to sell these to as many people as possible.
Well, yeah, Call of Duty is one of the most highly played video games in the world.
Yeah, and you're right, Sneakoot. I think that's what's going to happen. I think that they may actually still have Call of Duty out to everyone, but they're going to put it on Xbox Game Pass so people who have Xbox and Xbox Game Pass can play it for free.
Right. Yeah, and that's where the money is subscriptions, man.
Yep.
The more people they can have constantly pounding it, giving them $15 to $20 a month, that's what they want.
Well, yeah, because then you don't get the $60 game. After 6 months, they've paid for that game, and now they're still paying you.
Right. Exactly. So it's interesting. I mean, I am not a Xbox guy. I am a PC gamer, so there's that. But I'm a PlayStation and PC. So this is going to be interesting. I also don't play a crap ton of Blizzard Activision games, I got a few in there, but I like StarCraft. I played Diablo for a bit. It just never really quite grabbed me as much.
I played Diablo, and then I started playing Diablo 2, and then I got Diablo 3 was one of the first games I got when I got my PS4, and I got bored with it.
Yeah, I think I got into Diablo 3 on my computer, and I just kind of got bored with it. I mean, I know, and some people are like, oh my God, what do you mean? And I'm like, I like a little more meat in my RPGs. I like to be able to manipulate the character a little bit more than just what he's wearing and just the armor and
that's the thing.
Weapons.
It's more of it's not really so much an RPG as it is just a top-down isometric adventure game.
Yeah, exactly. I prefer, a game like Skyrim or games like, the Baldur's Gate games. I really like the top-down isometric. Like I said, I was gushing about Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous for the last 2-3 months. It's a great game, and it is that same kind of visual style, but there's just much more to it. Yeah. And I didn't hate Diablo 3. I was like, yeah, okay, it's fine. It didn't grab me as much.
I need to get back to Kingmaker too.
Oh man, Kingmaker was really good, but it was definitely difficult. It was tough. Once you get to a certain point, it gets a lot easier, but
I was getting killed by spiders at the beginning, and I couldn't figure out how to fucking beat them. So I
gotta pause, man. You gotta pause. You gotta pause the game, direct the characters, and unpause it. And that's a nice thing in Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. You can toggle or untoggle turn-based or real time, and it's much more manageable in turn-based, because in real time there's so many sprites going, everything's going at once, and you can't keep track, and everything, it's crazy. So, but in turn-based, much easier, much just better.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'll see where that winds up going. Amazon versus Disney goods versus entertainment, which has more money.
Well, it's one of the things that says, like, one of the reasons why Disney will probably never be able to get a hold of the DC characters, because they already have the Marvel ones. And I think the government would say, no, come on.
Yeah.
You're just too much of a monopoly. You can't, So Time Warner
on superheroes.
Yeah, Time Warner, I think you better make the DC characters work, man, because you're stuck with them, I think.
Somebody will buy them. I mean, they can always sell them like the Sony or something like that. And...
Sure. But yeah, Microsoft's big Activision acquisition may run into drama with federal regulations, expert claims. The deal could be on a collision course with DC, as in Washington, DC. A financial expert has claimed that Microsoft's $69 billion purchase of Activision Blizzard could be on a collision course with antitrust regulators in DC. So yeah, it should be interesting to kind of see how this plays out in the next 12 months to 18 months, and how it's going to affect the gaming industry.
Well, we will be keeping an eye on it, so stay tuned right here. We'll bring you all the latest as we get it.
We'll be discussing it in detail.
Yep.
So I got a couple of things here, rattle off real quick before we get into our series discussions.
I got something else, a couple of things else too. So
okay, so Joss Whedon has finally spoken up, and
I saw this yesterday.
Yeah, addressed the Justice League situation. He claims that Warner Brothers lost faith in Zack Snyder's vision and called him in to basically, finish the film.
I had actually heard back at the time. I had heard that as well.
Right. Now, there was also talk that Snyder had to leave because of the death of his daughter.
Which is most likely the case.
That is very much the case, sure. But yeah, Joss Whedon says he was brought on board to fix Justice League, despite the studio saying that was not the case. Joss Whedon has spoken about his time on Justice League. The theatrical version of the superhero movie was co-directed by Whedon, who took over for Zack Snyder after the latter filmmaker dropped out following a personal tragedy. In a new interview with New York Magazine, Whedon claims that Warner Brothers asked him to, quote-unquote, fix Justice League after losing faith in Snyder's vision. The studio, however, contests Whedon's version of events and points out that Snyder had publicly stated that he left the project to spend more time with his family. The magazine's report details how the set of Justice League was tense under Whedon's watch, where Snyder encouraged actors to ad-lib lines. Whedon wanted everyone to stick to the script. One crew member claims that Gal Gadot told Whedon that he didn't understand how superhero movies worked, despite Whedon having previously directed 2 very successful Avengers movies. Whedon allegedly told the actors he had never worked with a ruder group of people. The actors conversely felt Whedon was being rude. One of the major points of contention was Cyborg's role in the movie. Snyder's version of Justice League was set to be centered on Fisher's Cyborg. While Whedon significantly cut down the role, Whedon has now explained his reasoning, saying that the Cyborg story logically made no sense and that he felt the acting was bad. He said he felt that Ray Fisher was just not a good actor. He also claims that he spent hours discussing changes with Fisher, who has publicly criticized his treatment on the Justice League set by Whedon. He claimed on Twitter in 2021 that Joss Whedon's on-set treatment of the cast and crew of Justice League was gross, abusive, unprofessional, completely unacceptable. Gadot has also claimed that Whedon threatened her career when Whedon said he did not do so, which he said he did not do, instead saying there must have been a misunderstanding. English is not her first language, and I tend to be annoyingly flowery in my speech, he told the magazine. Gadot responded in an email saying, I understood perfectly. When Snyder's 4-hour cut of Justice League was released on HBO Max, reviews were much more positive with Whedon's version. Fisher's extended role was praised by many critics. Meanwhile, the New York Magazine's report claims that Whedon regards taking over directing Justice League as one of the biggest regrets of his life. Yeah, because he fucked himself.
Well, he did. And I think part of that is that it's like anything. You come in the middle of something, you try and put your vision on top of someone else's, and it's not going to work, especially not someone who has the history that Joss Whedon does of making things his own. And his style and Zack Snyder's are so completely different,
dramatically different.
There was no way that was oil and water together, and and someone threw a match and the oil was extremely flammable and it just went up.
Bang. And see, and that's the thing. I mean, there was rumors of him saying that this entire thing just needs to be tossed. It's all shit, when he saw a lot of Snyder's stuff, and there were a lot of reshoots. I mean, and it's a
difference in vision.
Yeah. And all of the negative stuff came from when they were doing the reshoots for the most part. Ben Affleck has said it was awful and his worst experience he's ever had filming a movie. Jeremy Irons said he hasn't seen the Snyder cut of Justice League, adding it couldn't have been worse than the theatrical version. Now, the Snyder cut is substantially better than the theatrical version, and I didn't hate the theatrical version. Was it as good as the Avengers? No. But, I mean, I think Joss Whedon basically was able to, his vision of a superhero movie worked with the Avengers, and it just didn't work with what they'd done with Snyder. I think if Joss Whedon had been able to start at the beginning with the Justice League, it probably would have been effective. He probably could have made a solid film.
It would have been, but you know what the comparison then would have been was it's Justice League Avengers, because he would have done the same thing. There would have been a lot more quips. There would have been that humor element in there, that type of thing, and that's what people would have said. I think that getting Joss Whedon to do it was a mistake on Time Warner's part to bring him in.
Trust me, I think
they should have brought in anyone else.
I think it was a mistake all around. But if he had started at the beginning, it probably would have been a better movie than what was presented.
I think it was. I think it would have been. And if Snyder had been able to do his original vision as well, it would have been a better movie from the beginning.
Which is what we saw with the Snyder Cut. Which,
because I mean, cutting out the whole dark side thing and the parademons and all that, and
cutting down Cyborg's role, and it was a bad idea.
Cyborg's not one of my favorites, so I don't really give a shit whether or not he's in it or not. So
okay. Did you get the chance to see Ghostbusters Afterlife?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just wondering. I've seen a couple of clips, and I'm really excited.
I really want to see it. I'm waiting for it to be on a streaming service that I can watch it.
Well, I'm gonna buy the Blu-ray for sure. I love the Ghostbusters. I'm definitely getting the Blu-ray. So I'm just excited to see. I've seen some kind of a couple of clips, a couple of spoilers, and I'm kind of like, oh man, I really want to see the whole thing. Yeah. But anyway, so apparently also to wrap this up, Whedon also has addressed some of the accusations that were made by Charisma Carpenter, and the talks about how his set, his Buffy and Angel sets were also extremely toxic, at least towards some of them. He says that he does regret, there were a lot of regrets of things that he said and did during that era of his career. So I didn't read, I would like to read the full article, because I always liked Whedon. There was, remember when after the Avengers came out in 12, and t-shirts that said Joss Whedon is my master now. We're everywhere. Everybody was like, Joss Whedon crazy. And now the guy's, he's kryptonite in Hollywood.
He was always known for, if you were friends with him and you were on one of his shows, then you pretty much always had work if he was working, because I mean, you look at what happened with Firefly.
Yeah.
Every one of them wound up on Angel. Yes. Just about anyone that wanted to. I mean, you had Nathan Fillion wound up on Buffy.
Last season.
Yep, last season. Adam Baldwin and Gina Torres both wound up on Angel.
Yep.
So I mean, if you wanted, the joke was when he did, what was it, Much Ado About Nothing.
Yep.
And that was filmed at his house, and it was basically Joss called up all of his friends and said, "Hey guys, why don't you come over for a party and we're just going to film something."
Yeah. It was basically a weekend. He filmed it in like a long weekend.
Yeah.
And everybody just stayed at the house and they drank and they had a good time, and they did. And I owned it. It's actually pretty solid.
And if you look, it's almost all people from his shows, from shows that he had a hand in. From Shield to Buffy, Angel. Yeah. I mean,
it's a few other ones. Just people that were friends of his and stuff. But yeah, Clark Gregg and Nathan Fillion and I forget her name. The girl that played Fred.
Yeah, Amy Acker.
Angel. Amy Acker. Thank you. The guy who was Wesley, who was you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Alexis
Denisof, yeah. I mean, and one of the actors from Cabin in the Woods. Yeah, and it's a pretty good version too.
Yes, he had a crew, as CD put it. He's got a crew.
He does, just like Kevin Smith does.
Yep.
Just like Adam Sandler does. You know, just like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon kind of are the same kind of thing.
They're kind of in Kevin Smith's crew too. So
well, yeah, and they are also right.
First you do the big budget pick, then you can do the indie pick, then you do the pick because your friend says you owe him.
Yeah, taking the camera. Yeah. So anyway, Joss Whedon is apparently finally opening his fat mouth about what happened and what's going on. I'd like to read the full article because I am curious to see exactly what it is that he said. I mean, it was in New York Magazine, and the undoing of Joss Whedon. I'll have to read that later, and see what the hell, that he really does say about the entire situation. Because, like I said, I was a big fan, and it's another question as to, like, do you stop watching Buffy or Angel or Firefly or any of the things that he has done? Don't ever watch Cabin in the Woods and throw out your copy of Avengers because of Joss Whedon. And I say no, because Joss Whedon is not the only person that was involved with the making of those things. He was, yes, the initial creator, but he wasn't the only one involved. And you're doing a disservice to everybody else that was involved with making those shows and movies by just saying that he's a piece of shit. I'm not gonna read or do anything of his. It's the same thing with J.K. Rowling and about her attitudes and stuff. In fact, recently, Rupert Grint, who played Ron Weasley in the movies, asked how he justifies or how he's able to come to terms with J.K. Rowling's opinions about transgender people and their status and whatever else. And Ron says, I think of her as a beloved aunt. You don't always agree with everything in your family, everything people in your family say, but you love them nonetheless. And that was I think that's a really good way of justifying it for him, for this woman that he's known since he was a child, who created something that gave him a career and was very responsible for doing these, creating this wonderful thing that unfortunately has some very negative opinions. He's known her since he was a child. She's this beloved person in his life. So it's got to be difficult. I mean, we've all had that family member that has said and done things that has just made us go, oh my God,
Yep.
That's how you can, come to terms with that, I guess.
Yeah. And I want to see that article as well, because I was also a huge fan. I think Joss Whedon, whether he's a garbage human being or not, he has talent for writing dialogue. That's the one thing I will say. His dialogue is some of the best I've ever heard. And I don't know if I've seen other people direct it and even write it, but when he's involved, the whole Buffy Angel thing, I think, had some of the best dialogue I've ever seen on TV. It was some of the most natural dialogue. It wasn't that quick quips back and forth. There were natural pauses.
I know.
One of the things that bugs me the most is when you get those quips going back and forth, and they're so fast that as soon as one person stops talking, the next person's talking. There's no pause. Right.
I sent you the link in Discord.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll take you right to it. The Vulture part of.
Vulture's got some good stuff.
New York Magazine or whatever it is.
Yeah.
All right. So he's up there with Kevin Smith when it comes to dialogue. Just really, really good dialogue.
Yeah. And so Bob just posted in chat. Hey Bob, didn't know you were on.
Hey Bob.
I never watched this stuff because Joss was a great person. I watched because he was great at his job.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can be great at your job and still be an asshole.
And that's the thing. That's one of the things it sounded like to me that Joss Whedon is, I mean, yes, he's toxic, but it sounds to me that he's one of those artists that's just like, yeah, he's an asshole. You know, he speaks to people. He's kind of a shitty way of talking to people on set. Gets, you know, my imagining is if you're his buddy, you're probably getting treated, and you kiss his ass, you get treated well. Ray Fisher and Gal Gadot probably stood up to him and was like, didn't think he walked on water.
He's probably a narcissist.
Yeah, exactly. And this is not excusing his behavior, by the way. This is more just kind of explaining it, trying to understand him better.
Yeah.
He sounds like he's a narcissist. Sounds like he's kind of something of an asshole. So, and I've known a number of artists that talented as all get out, fucking assholes.
Yeah, especially when it comes to their art.
Yes.
Don't criticize it.
Right. So a couple other things we're going to move on to real quick. I'm going to quick hits. So Peacemaker premiered this past week.
Yep.
Loved it. The first 3 episodes. They put out the first 3
episodes.
I
only watched the first episode so far.
Okay. I think we might want to put off talking about Peacemaker maybe till next week, because we got to get caught up on talking about Boba Fett. And but it's fantastic. Guys, check it out.
There's a lot in that first episode to unpack.
There's a lot to unpack. I think this is going to be John Cena's entrance into more serious filmmaking, honestly.
Which is funny that you say that, because it is so not serious.
It's so not serious, but it's really showcasing his talent as an actor.
Showcasing his ass a lot too.
Yeah, that too. Jesus Christ, full body, really. You know, he's very funny. He's showed us that he can do comedy. He showed us that he can do action in the several movies that he's been in, and he can do comedy. But there's some fucking pathos when it comes to Pathfinder. There's some deeper things we're yet to plumb.
You mean
and
Peacemaker?
I guess John Cena, I feel that the Peacemaker is a good guy, a nice guy. That was raised by a shitty parent.
You think?
He's trying, really shitty parent. And so and we'll get into more detail when we fully discuss.
This one gives you scabies.
Why everybody should get scabies once. So yeah, his dad is obviously a supervillain and a piece of shit. And
Robert Patrick.
There's a man who's aged.
Holy
shit. But yeah, so but my housemate John and I were talking. I think this is really showing that we're going to see John Cena get some real attention for this role. And because I guess John Cena said he based the character on a douchebag Xbox player. You know, because the guy, it just says dumb shit. And he at one point in the first episode, he calls over to a waitress and calls her Sweet Cheeks.
Yeah.
Hey, Sweet Cheeks. And everybody else in the table goes, dude, what is the matter with you? That's not appropriate. And he goes, what? She's got great cheeks. They're sweet. She said, I'm referring to the cheeks on her face, not her ass.
Yeah. They're like, that means the behind. No, it doesn't.
He said, no, it doesn't. He's like, yeah, it does. And then he's kind of oblivious to certain things, you know, and I think that's more his kind of thing. So anyway, the James Gunn did reveal that Peacemaker character will appear in a future big DC movie. So I don't know if he says at least one Peacemaker character. So it's either going to be Peacemaker himself, or, which I wouldn't be surprised if this continues to be good and successful, that he doesn't show up again in another DC film. But it could be part of the supporting cast. It could be Vigilante. I think very much it looks like to me they're trying to turn the Vigilante character into DC's version of Deadpool. So we'll see what happens with that. So we'll be getting more into Peacemaker later on. Officially, Marvel is going to be relaunching Amazing Spider-Man with a new issue 1 coming in April. The current run has run about 86 issues so far, so it might go, but it's running multiple times a month. I think it's like 2 or 3 times a month right now. It might get up to 90 before they start over with another new issue 1. Newsroom speculated when it was first teased the upcoming Amazing Spider-Man run drawn by the returning John Romita Jr., classic, amazing artist, son of the original John Romita. John Romita Jr. has made his mark for many years as an amazing artist in the comic industry and has drawn damn near everybody in DC and Marvel. It's going to be written by Zeb Wells, another really great writer in the industry. So coming with April 6th, Amazing Spider-Man #1 is inker Scott Hanna and colorist Marcio Menz joining Romita and Zeb Wells. Just wanted to touch on that real quick. Also, coming out this week, She-Hulk is getting another new issue 1 to help kind of coincide with the upcoming She-Hulk TV show, which is looking pretty fucking cool so far from what we've seen. We've seen very little. We've seen some kind of teaser stuff, but with Marciana, what's her name?
Tatiana
Maslany, as is going to be playing the role. They're saying really good things. And She-Hulk has always been one of my favorite characters. I've always loved her. One of my favorite, at least, superheroines.
I have never read a She-Hulk comic.
Really? Particularly in the 80s when John Byrne was writing and drawing it, it was very cool. She was one of the first comic characters to regularly break the fourth wall and talk to the reader. Deadpool does that a lot now, but She-Hulk basically was, her stories were sort of in continuity. They happened, but they didn't. They were very kind of weird, and like at one point she meets Santa Claus and saves him. At another point, just there were a lot of wild, weird things that happened, but it was really cool, and she has grown to become an awesome character, and her comics are consistently good. They don't always get a lot of time because she's also not always she's a fan favorite, but she's not widely like a hugely successful favorite. So it's not like Spider-Man or Wolverine, but the comic fans like her. So she has had comic series over the years. They've just, they'll run for 3 years, 4 years, and they get canceled, and then they get another one, and maybe it'll run for 2 years, and then whatever. In the meantime, she's usually a fairly consistent member of a team book. She's usually in the Avengers or something like that. So at the very least, she crops up because she's one of the superhero lawyers.
Yep.
Either her or Daredevil. So coming out this week, I'm going to be getting it. It's
but is she that good of a lawyer?
She is. She's really good. She's a really good lawyer.
You didn't get the reference.
Oh,
the Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm that good.
Oh yeah, how did you do that? I'm that good of a lawyer. It's fucking great. I cannot wait to see more of Matt Murdock in the Marvel MCU.
Me too. I'm so happy that it's Charlie Cox.
Oh yeah. So Hogwarts Legacy is rumored to have been delayed again, this time to 23. It was the new game, video game based on the J.K. Rowling world that she created. It takes place in the late 1800s, long before Harry Potter and any of those characters was even thought about. It's supposed to be an open world kind of RPG kind of thing. It was delayed. It was supposed to come out in 21, I think, but then they pushed it back because of pandemic and stuff. It was only revealed back in 20, so they've been working on it for a while. It's supposed to come out on the PS5, Xbox Series S, and Xbox Series S. They were hoping that it was originally indicated that it was possibly going to be coming out around the time when Fantastic Beasts 3 comes out in mid-April, but now they're looking like it may be delayed quite a bit. If it doesn't come out until 23, that's another good, 8-month delay at least. So we'll see. It's it's not been official, but there's rumors. that it's going to be delayed. So we'll see. Also, there's rumors to a Superman video game being developed by the people that developed the new Gotham Knights video game, featuring the partners of Batman that's supposed to be coming out
the Bat family
this year. The Bat family, Robin, Nightwing. Well, we're talking, Tim, Jason, Nightwing, and
Batgirl.
Tim, Jason, Dick, and Barbara. Basically, I don't believe it's Damian. I think it is Tim. So that's coming out later this year. Super excited. Looks great. It is a continuation of the Arkham Knight series, or the Arkham Asylum series, and they are working on a brand new DC game. And a leaker said it is none other than a Superman game. So could be pretty cool. Rocksteady has got that Suicide Squad game coming up pretty soon too, but called Kill the Justice League, and it looks pretty fucking awesome. Crazy. PS3 games on the PS Store have fans hoping backwards compatibility is coming to the PS5. The PS3 was one of the when they made the PS3, they changed the because of the way the PS3 was designed, programming for it was kind of difficult. So a lot of the games that came out for both the PlayStation and the Xbox at the time, the PS3, they had to go through a lot of kind of shifting and changing of apparently the base code, which made backwards compatibility from the PS3 to the PS4 virtually impossible. Now they're hoping that coming up, that PS3 games could potentially be backwards compatible to the PS5. That would be great, because I still have a lot of PS3 games in my downstairs storage that I wouldn't mind maybe pulling out and playing every once in a while. So, and the fact of the matter is, if the PS3 games become backwards compatible for the PS5, that reopens a lot of resaleability more so for PS3 games on the used market. So that would be pretty cool. So we'll have to keep an eye on that for you guys and try and talk about it. For those of you guys who were way into the show Justified, Timothy Oliphant will be returning to the role in a new Justified series coming to FX called Justified City Primeval.
Huh. I hadn't heard this. I love Justified.
I only watched a few episodes, but every time I watched it, I was like, this is a damn good show.
I watched like the last, I missed most of the first season, came in like right at the end of the first season, and then watched the rest of it. Just watched the hell out of it. I loved that show. It's
on my Hulu queue. I'm going to get around to it eventually, particularly since FX picked up, is on Hulu. It says the new series titled Justified City Primeval will be inspired by Elmore Leonard's novel City Primeval, High Noon in Detroit. The original series was based on Leonard's novella Fire in the Hole. It will follow Raylan Givens in his new life in Miami, 8 years after leaving Kentucky, balancing his work as a U.S. Marshal and being a father to a teenage girl. Chance encounter sends him to Detroit, where he crosses paths with Clement Mansell, a violent desperado known as the Oklahoma Wildman. Mansell's formidable lawyer has her own motivations too, and the trio ends up on a collision course that won't end well for everyone. So one of the cool things about this potentially takes place in Detroit. So that could be awesome. So I'm going to definitely be checking that out.
Yeah, I will too.
The other things I just kind of had is there's some set photos on the Batgirl teased Lex Luthor in a connection to some other DC movies and the Batgirl movie. And Tim Allen will be returning to the Santa Claus outfit and the Santa Claus world universe that he created in those 3 movies for a new Disney Plus show. Where apparently the character realizes he's getting a little old, a little long in the tooth. He starts to look for a replacement Santa Claus so that he and his family can kind of retire.
Okay.
So
before he's forced to, like the other Santa was.
Yeah.
The only other thing I had before we get into Boba Fett is that Star Trek, Discovery, Lower Decks, and Strange New Worlds have all been renewed.
Oh, awesome. Great. Fantastic.
So
Strange New Worlds hasn't even come out yet.
Right. It hasn't even come out yet, and it's already been renewed for a second season.
Awesome.
We've got Discovery's going to be back February 10th.
Cool.
Then,
I need to get caught up. I'm behind. I'm only watching the first 3.
Yeah, they're in the middle of their their mid-season break now.
Mm-hmm.
Picard season 2 of Picard premieres on March 3rd.
Yeah.
Strange New Worlds is set to premiere May 5th. Cool. And Lower Decks season 3 will be out in summer of 22. I guess they're already working on. They're in production of Picard season 3 already too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, got to get that in. That's awesome. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah,
cannot wait.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I love Lower Decks is so much better than I ever expected it to be.
Right?
That show is just fantastic.
I'm trying to remember. Did I buy I don't think I bought the first season yet. Did I?
You got to get up and look.
Well, I have Discovery season 1 and 2, and I have Short Treks. No, I don't have. You can tell I'm my lovely attire for.
I'm like, you're either in pajamas or golf pants, one of the two. And since
they're pajama pants.
Since you don't golf.
Pajama pants. Man, I ain't got no place to go, not for another 2 weeks. Anyway.
I don't either, but I still wear jeans.
I put on jeans. I put on jeans most days. Today I'm having a slug day. The
Russ uniform.
Jeans and a t-shirt. That's my standard dress uniform. It bothers Stella to no end. Santa Claus the series, search for retirement fund. Exactly. But yeah, who wears pants in the house? Well, when you have a roommate. Yeah, I haven't gotten Lower Decks season 1 yet. I'm gonna get it. I usually wait to get the season, the previous season, until the new season comes out, because the price usually drops a scotch. Because Star Trek DVD sets are expensive.
Well, I mean, this summer we get season 3 of Lower Decks, so
right. So I'm gonna probably pick up 1 and 2 pretty soon. So at least pick up 1. I don't think 2's been released yet on deck. But yes, Lower Decks is great. It's one of those perfect cartoons because it's funny. It's got a lot of heart. It's got a lot of references to the previous Star Trek
when
shows.
Boimler was on the Titan with Riker, that was so fucking funny.
So funny. So goddamn funny. And now Boimler has a transporter clone, and
who's still on the Titan.
Who's still on the Titan, and yeah, it's just I mean, it's so good. It's really, really great. I love it. Love it.
I loved Picard. I thought that was fantastic. Discovery's still good. It's honestly, out of all of them, it's probably my least favorite of all the current Star Trek series. I'm really looking forward to Strange New Worlds, which, by the way, the other thing that came out in this article that I read is that number 1 has a name now.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Strange New Worlds has yet to debut its first season, which will drop on Paramount Plus on May 5th. New episodes will then roll out weekly on the streamer. Strange New Worlds stars Anson Mount as Captain Pike, Ethan Peck as Spock, and Rebecca Romaine as Una Chin Riley.
Una Chin Riley?
Yep. Last name is hyphenated, Chin-Riley.
Right. Well, so, Una's like a Scandinavian name. Kind of like a, I think, like a Germanic name. It's just not as well known. And Chin Riley? Wow. Well, when you think about, that far into the future, you'd think there'd be a lot more blending of the cultures,
Una, the word Una actually means with one voice.
Okay.
According to Merriam-Webster.
Well, I'm in. I was in immediately. I loved it.
Oh, and also, according to the Urban Dictionary, it's a one-of-a-kind girl.
Oh, well, she's definitely one of a kind.
Unas are very attractive, intelligent, and have a good heart.
Fair enough. Awesome. like I said, I'm just
Una with an umlaut over the or not an umlaut, but a little dash over the U is actually an Irish language feminine given name.
Oh, well, maybe that's it then, because Riley sounds like an Irish name.
It's derived. It may be derived from the Irish word uan, which is lamb. Also, the name Una might mean the personification of truth.
There's a lot to unpack here, man.
Yeah, but anyway, she has a name finally. After what? 50 plus years?
60 years?
Yeah.
60 years.
55 years, something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
She's got a name.
Well, good. It's about damn time.
I was wondering if we were even going to hear what the name was before the show, or if they were going to try and keep that secret because of the whole thing where she's just number one.
She's number one in my heart. I love Rebecca Romaine. She's amazing. So shall we get into
Book of Boba Fett? Yeah, I think we should. So we got 2 episodes, 2 and 3.
2 and 3. Mm-hmm.
2, there's not a lot to really talk about. It was...
Well, I don't know. I disagree. I think there was it was his... It showed his, like, how he ingratiated himself and became a part of that tribe of sand people.
Right, but there's not a lot to talk about in it. That was just it. So we see at the beginning we see the twins show up. Yeah. Basically, he finds out that someone else has made a claim to his to Jabba's old what is it? Not kingdom, but
territory.
Territory, yeah. So he made a claim on Jabba's territory. He goes outside, and these 2 Fetts are being carried by a bunch of slaves, obviously having a really hard time carrying them.
Yeah.
And they're called the twins.
Yeah. A brother and sister set of Hutts. A friend of mine, I'm not a friend, but somebody, I saw a post that says, why are the Hutts so damn powerful? I mean, they're these almost immobile slug-like creatures that, like, why are they so fucking powerful?
It goes back to well before the formation of the Republic. Even the Hutts were a they actually were a warrior race. They have armor and stuff that they can wear in battle, and they're not always those big fat slugs. They actually were able to fight, and they did conquer a lot of worlds. Well, but then they decided that with other world, and then they had a big civil war, and it basically destroyed their empire. And then with the rise of the other ones, they went, you know what? Fuck it, we'll just subjugate other worlds. So they went and enslaved a bunch of worlds and got a bunch of slaves and created a criminal empire.
There was a character, a Hutt character that was a Huttese character that was introduced in the more recent Marvel Star Wars comics, where he was big and tough. He was basically, he had huge muscular arms.
There's a Hutt Jedi.
Okay.
I've seen pictures of basically Leia fighting with this, basically training, I guess, with this Hutt Jedi. So I mean, some of them are much more muscular and they're more warrior-like. It's just that when they become super wealthy, they get fat and lazy and just use their slaves to do everything. Well, and it's the fact that they're ruthless too. They are ruthless.
Okay.
And so it's fear. They rule through fear.
I guess so.
And basically, they come out, tell Boba that, hey, this is our territory. And they actually have like a decree that shows that it's actually their territory.
Yeah, this is our cousins. And they claim.
And he's like, no. And so then we get pretty much an entire episode of backstory.
Now, I was surprised that they unloaded all this backstory on us at one time.
Me too.
I thought we'd get it broken up over the season.
But yeah, it's basically him becoming a member of the Tusken Raider tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's how he did it. And basically there was this big train that would go through the desert and just kill all of them as it went by.
Yeah.
Kill their banthas, kill them, just shoot them. And he basically taught them to ride speeders. He taught them how to fight the people on the train. and then he took him on the mission to actually crash the train,
right,
and take it over. Which, again, the waste of water on this show.
Oh my God, right? Yes.
I mean, like, they have a water car and they just break it open and they bring over a few buckets and fill them with water and then just let the rest of the water just spill out.
That boggles my mind. This is a desert world. Water is precious. You wouldn't just have water like spill. You wouldn't allow it to just spill out onto the ground like that. I just don't understand it.
You know, Bob, I haven't seen Snowpiercer, so I don't know if this would be Sandpiercer. But
no,
yeah,
it's not. It's not.
But yeah, it was the same thing in the first episode when that swoop gang was attacked that moisture farmer, and there's that fountain of water, and they get like one little jug of water and put it on their bikes and take off, and then they just leave it spewing. I'm like, they
would have showed up with a tanker truck and would have taken as much as they could. Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, so we get all that, and then they do like the whole thing of him being initiated into the tribe with him being dressed in robes, and the one thing he doesn't get is their mask.
No, but he gets that spiritual. He has that lizard.
That's right. They give him a lizard. He's like, okay,
it's funny because I texted you and I was like, well, that's one way to have a spiritual awakening, and you're like, what? And I go, Boba Fett, and goes, I haven't seen the episode yet. I'm like, Jesus Christ, but yeah, I mean, this lizard, he gets presented with this little lizard, and it just goes, and he's like, oh, I think I swallowed it, and
it goes right up his nose, just
right up his nose into his brain, and he basically trips out for a while, and he goes to this tree, and he
finds a tree in the middle of Tatooine.
Yeah, and gets a ceremonial. He drags home a piece of wood, a big piece of wood. And then the lizard comes out of his nose and goes back into the little thing, and it's like, oh wow, okay. And then he proceeds to basically make a fighting stick,
a gaffy stick,
and that wood must be some pretty serious wood, man, because he beats the shit out of people with it.
I figure it's got to be like some sort of petrified wood is really what it is.
Yeah, some really serious hardened wood or something like that. But
yeah. But yeah, so they make that makes the pointy end of his stick, of his staff, and then they basically make the whole staff, and then there's this whole dance scene where they do a traditional dance and everything. It was kind of cool to see the Sand People's culture more.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that I did like about it. It definitely expanded upon the lore of the Sand People.
Yeah,
it made them more than just these faceless barbarians that killed killed Anakin's mother. I thought that was really cool to see them as a culture. Made them they
still have slaves and they still take prisoners and all that, but I mean, that doesn't make them necessarily nice people.
They're not nice people, but there's more to them than just a faceless bad guy. They have a culture, they have a way of life, and that they're put upon too. They're the native species. They're the native people of that world. Yep. So, and they're just they're kind of shat on by the colonists essentially. Yep. So, and that was one of the things that I think you and I were talking about this. It's me and John. What the fuck is it about Tatooine that so many people are concerned about? The place is a shithole. It's
on the outer edge of the galaxy.
Right. It's a desert world. I mean, the only thing it's good for is smuggling, is being a way station, But Mos Espa and Mos Eisley and these other towns are like, like these bustling metropolises.
Well, it's because of crime, though.
Yeah.
It's because of smuggling and it's because of crime.
But like I said, why otherwise? Other than that, why would anybody go there? Why would people live there? It's just like, I could see it being like I said, like having a spaceport and a way station, or if it had some kind of mining, industry or something. And apparently, and they keep saying something to the effect of that at one point, it was a it was covered in water.
In the third episode, they mentioned that the Tatooine used to be covered in water.
Well, in the second episode, they actually the Sand People say we've been here since before the oceans dried up.
Yeah.
At one point too, and then in the third episode, it's mentioned that that Stephen Root as a guest star shows up. And it's fascinating. At one point, this planet was covered in oceans, and because Boba Fett says like something to the effect of like I came from a world I was surrounded by water at all times, because he was born on Camino.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it just boring, so to speak. It just boggles my mind, though. Like I said, that like, what is it with this fucking planet? Other than the fact that, it's I guess it's a good place to go to hide.
Yep.
So anyway, the second episode basically ends with him, telling the pikes, basically the people that were smuggling, that were running this train across the desert and smuggling
a fish race.
Yeah, looks like. Essentially, basically, like an aquatic race on a desert planet, and said that you have to pay tribute now to these people. Yeah,
the desert's theirs. They were there first.
Right.
You want to travel across their territory, you pay them tribute.
Now, we also saw in the second episode, I think the first appearance of Black Kirsten in... Or Kirsten,
yeah, something like that.
Kirsten. In
Wookiee name.
Wookiee name. Now he was a character that was either introduced in the Marvel comics or he's introduced in the animated series. One of the animated series, is that the case?
I haven't seen him in that. He may be in Rebels.
I think he might have been introduced in the Marvel comics because I know he has showed up and he is a gladiator.
I think he was in the comics.
Yeah. Oh, I know he was in the comics. He was introduced. He's a former gladiator that became a bounty hunter or bodyguard, and he's a nasty fucking Wookiee. If you thought Chewie was scary looking,
yeah, he's with Doc Aphra, so he was introduced in the comics.
Okay, yeah.
That's where I know him from. Was from the comics. That's right.
Comics from the Dr. Aphra comic books. Now, he was one scary looking motherfucker, just the way he eyed Boba Fett up and down. And, he just like slow motion walked him into frame. And he's just like, and you're like, oh, damn. You thought, like I said, I mean, Chewie looks like a cute little puppy compared to this guy. So, yikes.
He was regularly hired by Jabba the Hutt and at one point was hired by Darth Vader.
All right. So fucking scary guy. So yeah, we are introduced to him, and I was like, ooh, that could be cool. So you're right. And to some extent, I mean, not a lot of things happened to progress the story in the second episode, but a lot happened to kind of show where Boba was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
What happened. And so we get into episode 3.
Yes. Episode 3 I thought was a really great episode. I actually really enjoyed that one a lot.
Yeah.
A little bit more backstory, but it focused more on the present than in the past.
Right.
About equal parts, I guess. But yeah, so we get Boba's trying to figure out what's going on and all this, and it's and in the other one too. He's trying to figure out what he can do and all this. But I'm trying to remember how it starts.
I think he's still trying to get into the role of who he is and what his job
is. Yeah, and it starts off with him having audience, and you get a guy coming in and basically telling him that this group stole his stapler, and
okay, it is Stephen Root, who's a very famous character actor. He's been in a ton of stuff, and he was in Office Space as
Melvin, I think.
Something like that. The character who basically the awkward weird guy.
I stole my stapler.
Somebody took my stapler, and I'm going to burn.
I could listen to the radio at a reasonable volume.
Yeah. So, but Stephen Root.
Milton. That's what it is.
Milton. Thank you. Thanks, CD.
It's been too long since I've seen Office Space. I need to watch it again.
But Stephen Root's one of those character actors. Been a ton of stuff. He was on radio, that show Radio something.
I know which one you're talking about. Shit, I can't think of it now, but it was a great show. Yeah, he was the owner of the studio.
Yeah,
or owner of the radio station.
He's
Phil Hartman was just fucking incredible on that show.
Yeah.
News Radio. Thank you, Bob.
News Radio. And yeah, Phil Hartman was on that show when he passed away. So it was so it was kind of cool to see him. And yeah, he's basically a water merchant. And this terrible street gang has been terrorizing Mos Espa. And he says to Boba Fett, he's like, my lord, nobody respects you. And he says that he's being manipulated. He's trying to manipulate Boba into getting rid of his problem, which are these fucking street toughs that are bored and tired of getting screwed over by these corrupt, water distributors and stuff. So Boba and his guards and I love seeing the Gamorreans. I love the fact that they're showing up. They're in there. They're bringing their game, man.
Yep.
They're showing up. And
Fennec.
And Fennec and they go and to investigate. And they come across, they're basically, and he says, they're horrible. They've amplified their bodies with droid parts, and so they're a bunch of cyborgs, whatever.
Yep.
And he says, they're just like 4 kids on scooter type speeder bikes. They look like Vespas, which I think is funny because they're in Mos Espa. And yeah, they go and recruit a West Side Story gang. They're bright colored, like they should be on Naboo, not on Tatooine. And it's freaking.
They're led by this one woman, and she basically tells Boba off.
Yeah, and she's like, why should we pay a month's worth of wages for a week's worth of water? And it's like, this is the workers area. Why aren't you working? She's like, there are no jobs. He's like, all right, you work for me now. And then and that's when Root comes in and kind of, no, you've got to take them out, and no, you're gonna let them go. And he's like, how much do they owe you? 1,300. Here's 5.
Yeah.
Take it and lower your prices. That's
basically tells him, don't be a dick and jack your prices up.
Yeah. I think that's going to come back to haunt him, honestly.
Now, then we get back to Jabba's palace, where he is then in his Bacta tank.
Yep. Again.
Because he's still healing. And gets all of a sudden the thing's opened up, the liquid all spills out, and the Wookiee grabs him, Black Kristan or whatever, Kristan grabs him and pulls him out and just chucks him across the room.
Yeah. And we're like, oh, fuck, this is happening quicker than I thought. Yeah. Now, wait a minute. Didn't we have a flashback where he finds out? Now, I knew that those sand people were not long for the world.
Right.
He gets up on a bantha.
I don't remember where it was. It might have been before that. Yeah.
He gets up on a bantha.
Oh, because that was why he was in the Bacta. He has the flashbacks when he's in the Bacta tank.
Right. So he gets up on a bantha and he goes out to basically collect the
tribute.
The tribute for these people. So he goes to meet with the people, the Pikes that are smuggling, and they express to him, it's like, look, this guy, paying protection is part of business. We get it. But we're already paying protection to this other group. Why should we pay protection to 2? We don't want to have to pay protection to 2 different groups.
Yep.
It's only good business, and even Boba was like, all right, fine. You won't ever hear from them again. And he's like, I'm going to go take care of it. And I think he probably had every intention of doing that. But unfortunately, he goes back to his tribe and finds that they've been slaughtered by those same people.
The swoop gang that he saw earlier in 1, because they even left their symbol on one of the tents.
Yeah, they were tagging, basically, saying, Yep, this is what happens, So I think we are going to definitely see Boba get his pound of flesh.
Well, he already did.
That. Yeah, when he got those speeder bikes, right?
No, this was later. He went and took out that gang.
When?
I thought. Or was that?
No, he hasn't.
That was in the other episode where he went and got the speeder bikes, and we actually got 2 of Luke's friends now in canon.
Yes, I saw that too. Yeah, those 2, that couple.
Yes,
that was
the ones he was going to go meet at Tashi Station.
Yeah, those were actually some of his old friends. So yeah, and so then of course there's this, funeral for, he burns the bodies, a funeral kind of thing, and it was sad because I mean, you could see the writing on the wall. You knew that was going to happen. Those people were not long. Otherwise, why would he have any reason to? So, but it was still kind of like, oh man, I would have liked to just seen him like, I have to go and find my fortune or whatever. And instead they get slaughtered. So that sucked on ice. But
yeah, I'm like, oh man, I like that.
Well, they basically fridged the Sand People.
Yes.
They fridged them. And I'm not cool with that. That's a killing somebody just to motivate another character is not a cool way. It's not a cool way to do it. At least it wasn't, fridging is usually the term is reserved for, female characters, but you can fridge anybody if you so choose. So that's when the Back to Tank opens and Kirsten comes out.
He drags him out. And they
proceeds to kick the shit out.
Oh yeah, and he's got like these electric brass knuckles with spikes on them that he's just he hits them with, and there's the shock, and it all goes through all this stuff. I mean, there's a big fight, and I'm like, where the fuck are his guards?
Right. Well, the Gamorreans do come in
eventually.
And they start to fight Kirsten, but he's a badass.
Yeah, he just starts tossing them around like they're nothing.
Yeah. And then the kids come in.
Yep. And they start fighting him too.
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty cool because they did comport themselves with a certain amount of skill. And I was like, okay, all right, maybe this is a good investment on Boba's.
Yeah, but they were getting their ass kicked too, and eventually they take him down and capture him. They don't kill him. Well,
yeah, it took Fennec coming in.
Yeah,
where she finally was like, because they opened up the Rancor pit and he fell down into the pit.
Yeah.
And so he's down there.
Yeah, she's like, step back. Yes. And they all jump back and he drops.
Yeah. But I liked how Boba he comes running in. He's got a robot now. And he's just like, the guy's got thrown across the room a few times.
And decked across the face several times. Yeah. Choked out.
My guess is that he still had a lot of that back to kind of healing had just happened, so he was probably still
covered in the
covered it, and he was really regenerating still. But I mean, he looked at the one Gamorrean and said, "Put him in my back to tank."
Yeah, get him to my back to tank.
He told him to put the Gamorrean guard in his own back to tank. I'm like, holy shit! He gives a shit.
Yep,
he gives a shit. And then later on, he sees that he's eating, and he's like, hey, no more food, and he's just obviously kind of like conflicted. But then the twins show up with the tribute.
Yeah, at his palace, and they're like, he's like the twins are outside, and he's like, oh shit. So he goes out in full armor and everything, and Fennec's with him, and they're like, yeah, you know what? This place is yours.
We were lied to.
Yeah, this is yours. Another group's already laid claim, blah blah blah. Sorry about Kristan. And he brings Kristan out. Yeah. And actually says, you can have him. He's like, nah. You do with him what you want. He's yours. And they give him a Rancor too.
Give him a baby Rancor.
As the Rancor comes up, is Danny Trejo as the Beastmaster.
Oh, that was awesome. I fucking loved that. Fucking Danny fucking Trejo.
He's been posting all sorts of pictures and stuff like that too.
He was having a fucking blast.
I think he's so excited that he's like, Machete waded to space.
Yeah. I loved and it was cool how he was explaining more about the Rancors and about how they're actually really peaceful and they're unless threatened and they always bond with the first human they see and things like that. And I mean, and then when Boba
was like, I want to ride it.
Oh my God, that's gonna happen. Before the season's out, we're gonna see Boba Fett riding a Rancor.
And they're like, are you sure you can handle it? He's like, I've ridden beasts 10 times its size. And then the memes now of showing Boba Fett in his first appearance on the in the holiday special where he's riding that fucking giant dragon.
Yeah.
And so everyone's like, yeah, he's ridden something 10 times his size, and they're showing the dragon.
I thought we were trying to forget that.
No, George Lucas wants it gone. He wants that erased from all existence and all memory wiped.
Apparently, it's not going to happen. It still exists on YouTube.
I would say, yeah, somebody put it on YouTube. That shit lives forever.
Even if he's able to get it taken down, somebody's going to put it back up again.
Google do it. Google's just going to giggle all the way.
Yeah. So anyway, that more or less. Then they basically the twins allude to the fact that it was the mayor of Mos Espa that lied to them and lied to Boba and basically was pitting them against each other, trying to start a war.
Yep. So they go to face down the mayor, and his sniveling, ass kissing assistant there.
Yeah.
And says, oh, let me see if he's available. And he heads in the back and then locks the door. I'm like, you don't just let him walk back there. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, let me just see what I can do. And then he goes back there. They lock the door. And he's just locked the door. They go after him. He's gone.
Yeah.
And now there's a chase through the streets of Mos Espa.
One of the worst chase scenes I've ever seen, in all honesty. That was horrid. That is the one thing I will say about this. That scene looked terrible.
I was going to say the special effects looked a little weak.
They looked really weak. They looked like they were going about 5 miles an hour when they were supposed to be speeding through the streets. Those bikes looked awful. They looked like they couldn't get up over 5-6 miles an hour. And he was wiping out. The speeder looked okay, but the bikes themselves were like crap, I thought. Yeah, there was no sense of speed.
I thought they looked silly, honestly, a little. Like I said, I mean, they look like the Star Wars Vespas, I mean, it was just kind of silly. I didn't hate it, but it was just like, guys, come on, you can do better than this.
It's one of the weakest scenes I've seen in any of the Star Wars shows.
Yeah. I'd have to agree with that. It was a little disappointing. So, but Moss Vespa, yeah. I've heard a couple of jokes about that. I mean, overall, it was still a cool episode. I'm enjoying Boba Fett,
but anyway, they catch up with the assistant eventually, and he basically tells them that it was the Pikes.
Yeah,
the Pikes already control this area. This is their territory,
and that the mayor's working for the Pikes.
Yes. And then at the end, they show the Pikes landing and offloading basically an army.
A small one.
A small army, yeah. So, and that's where it ends. So we'll see what happens this week.
And essentially they're like, well, we're going to war.
Yep.
And I'm like, all right, well, this could be interesting. We'll see how this all plays out. I know we got to wrap things up because it's getting late, but yeah. I'm really enjoying the show. I don't think it's wowing me quite as much as Mandalorian, but I am still enjoying it a great deal.
I am too. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the lore dumps. Really, is what it is. That's what's getting me is the lore dumps.
Yeah,
and that's my thing.
I like how they're pulling things from all kinds of stuff. I mean, they're pulling characters from the comic books. They're pulling characters from from the old movies and stuff. I mean, it's all kinds of stuff that they're really doing some really cool stuff.
In one scene, you actually see the ship mechanic lady with her droids walk by.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh my God! Yeah.
From Mandalorian.
I saw. Yes. Oh my God. That's right. He does land in Mos Espa. He doesn't go to Mos Eisley.
Right.
Crazy.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, like I said,
Dutch says after the Mandalorian, Boba Fett just falls flat.
Who said that?
The name is Dutch.
Oh, the Dutch. Yeah. I gotta say, I like I said, I'm enjoying Boba Fett, but I think Mandalorian was a bit stronger.
Yeah.
I'm liking it. I who knows? Like maybe if they get a second season, it'll be a little stronger. I mean, like I said, it's not bad. It's not bad.
No,
it's just not quite as good as Mando.
It feels like it's struggling a little. It's almost trying too hard.
It's almost like It's almost like we're feeling Boba's frustration as to he doesn't know what his actual role is, and what he's supposed to do is daimyo, and it's almost like we're feeling that frustration as well. So yeah. I don't know. Robert Rodriguez directed the episode too, so I mean that's kind of cool. Robert Rodriguez is a hell of a director.
I don't recognize the name.
Spy Kids, Desperado. Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay. Wait, did he do Dusk Till Dawn?
He did.
Oh, that was Quentin Tarantino.
Nope, Tarantino was in it as an actor.
Oh.
But yeah, that was Robert Rodriguez.
Okay. I always thought that was a Tarantino film because he was in it.
Nope.
But the only time he was ever in a movie was if he was actually directing it.
No, I think that is one of the few times that he had that he acted, just straight acted in a movie.
Okay.
I might be.
So that's the only one of his movies I've seen then.
Robert Rodriguez?
Yeah.
Okay. You never seen Desperado?
Nope.
I'm going to keep opening the wrong one. Oh man, that's a great movie. That was Salma Hayek's introduction to American audience.
Oh, I take that back. He did Alita Battle Angel, so I've seen that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That was fantastic.
Also, so before you go, guys, that Marvel did drop the trailer for Moon Knight.
Oh yeah, I was going to mention that earlier too.
Looking pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about it. It's looking like it's going to be pretty surreal. Looks like they're also going to be maybe adding a little more mysticism to Moon Knight than we're used to, but I'm not unhappy about that either. So could be cool. Also, the TV show Valhalla is going to be spinning off into a show, or excuse me, the TV show Vikings is going to be spinning off into a Netflix show called Vikings Valhalla, and which also looks like it could be pretty cool as well. So they've been releasing trailers for these things. You guys might want to check them out. The Moon Knight one looks pretty fucking badass.
It does. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So otherwise, I'm about done, man.
Yeah, I'm about done for tonight. We should wrap things up.
We should do that. Guys, thanks for joining us on this lovely Tuesday evening. Thanks again to everybody on the chat, joining in and chatting everything. We really do appreciate your input. You guys, you can find us at all the places you can find quality podcasting. Guys, we are on the Google Play Store. We're on iTunes. We're on Spotify. We're on Stitcher. We're on iHeartRadio and the Odyssey app. You can also download and stream all of our shows at nerdswithalcoholshow.com, which Chris recently gave a bit of a facelift. We're here every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock here on the Drinking Nerds channel here on Twitch. Chris usually puts up the episode a couple of days later on YouTube.
Yeah, one of the other things, real quick, just back to the Boba Fett thing. Boba Fett was the only character in the original trilogy to sass off to Vader and get away with it and not get choked out.
It's true. There's no use to me dead.
Yeah, and Vader just lets it go. But anyway, yeah. Sorry, Dutch, you came in for the goodbye. We started at 8:00, so we got to leave at some point. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Guys, be sure to check out Chris playing Skyrim. He's doing a lot. It's fun.
Yeah, it's up on Twitch. If you want. I don't talk a lot. I try and talk as I'm going, but mostly I just comment on certain things and when I get pissed and like fuck, and shit like that. So, but remember, you can follow us on most of the social medias. We are on Facebook, Nerds with Alcohol Show. We are on Twitter at Drinking Nerds, Instagram Drinking Nerds. We're on YouTube Drinking Nerds. Yes, subscribe, follow, like, whatever you can do it at any of those places. So, yes, watch out for fireballs. Hell yes, those fireballs fucking kick my ass. Dude, I was sucking down potions at one point when I was fighting that spider today.
That's why you got to spend those perk points, man. That's why you're having such a tough time.
Okay, well, I'll look at it. So,
and those perk points.
All right, I think that's gonna about do it.
That'll do it.
So, on that note. Until next time. Sláinte.
See you on Friday, guys. Tavern Nights.
Yes, Friday night, Tavern Nights.
7:30.
7:30. Have a good one.
Good night.